We're about to dive into the heart of OMS, the features and concepts that matter most in the platform. Of all the videos explaining OMS, it's this one, and especially the next one on parameter selection, that together explain the features that will have the biggest impact on helping traders create robust strategies. So let's get hands-on. I'll walk you through the results of an optimization I'm running on my in-sample data using one of MT5's example EAs, Expert MACD. We're optimizing 3 parameters: MACD fast periods, slow periods, and stop loss. I'm starting a slow complete optimization using the Sharpe ratio as the metric, but here's the twist. With OMS, your choice of metric isn't locked in, and I'll show you later why this is a game changer. Once the optimization finishes, OMS instantly adds the results to your dashboard. On the Charts tab, you'll see 2 powerful visuals, a 2D bar chart and a 3D surface chart. The surface chart won't appear if you've only optimized on a single parameter, otherwise both charts are ready to help you uncover the secrets in your data. These charts provide a wealth of information to the trader about their strategy, including which parameters are the most important, the relationships between those parameters, and the stability of performance across parameter values, all of which will help inform the choice of the most robust parameter values. Of course, because this is just an example expert advisor provided in MT5, it doesn't produce great results. These example EAs are meant more as simple illustrations of how experts can be developed, and the parameter values we see here are mostly loss-making, but the results still allow me to fully explain the features of OMS. When using MT5 on its own, you're restricted to viewing charts using the performance metric you chose before starting the optimization, like the Sharpe ratio in our example. If you need to see results using a different metric, you'd have to rerun the whole process. OMS, however, makes this effortless. Just pick any metric you want from the drop-down and the charts update instantly. Why is this so important? Because every metric tells a different story. Return over drawdown type metrics and also the Sharpe ratio provide information about risk-adjusted performance of the overall strategy. Van Tharp's R multiple, on the other hand, provides the risk-adjusted performance averaged on an individual trade risk basis. Profit factor reveals the extent of your strategy's edge by looking at the ratio of wins to losses. All of this intelligence is important. Analyzing charts using just one metric only gives you part of the picture. OMS lets you see the whole landscape, switching between metrics to get a complete assessment. The drop-down selector starts with the most useful MT5 metrics, but OMS goes further, offering additional metrics like compound annual growth rate over maximum drawdown, Van Tharp's expectancy, and an enhanced profit factor. If you're unsure what any metric means, OMS has you covered. Just hover over the metrics table in any backtest for a quick explanation. Change the performance metric and both charts update together. The 3D surface chart rotates freely and hovering reveals specific metrics for each value. The 2 drop-downs on the left let you choose which parameters to display on both charts at once. If you've optimized 3 or more parameters, OMS averages the ones you're not viewing, so the charts always provide reliable data. Select the same parameter in both drop-downs to analyze it in isolation of the others. The surface chart disappears temporarily since you're now looking at just one parameter dimension. Strategy development is a journey, and OMS helps you keep track. No more need for scattered notes. Simply write your thoughts directly alongside each optimization or backtest. As soon as you step out of the field, your notes are automatically saved. Months later, you can revisit your dashboard and instantly review what you discovered, alongside any conclusions you made at the time of performing the analysis. Want to see how parameter values affect the number of trades? Just select Number of Trades from the Performance Metric drop-down. Of course, this isn't a performance metric in the strictest sense, but it is vital for understanding statistical significance. Fewer trades, or a smaller sample size as it's referred to in statistics, means less reliable results. So it's usually best to avoid parameter values that only produce a handful of trades. OMS tries to show every chart with axis ranges that reveal the most detail, even if that means sometimes using a false non-zero origin. But on occasion, you might need to compare the relative difference between values using a real origin. Simply click the Force True Origin toggle and you'll see the relative effect more reliably. You can see here that as the fast period value decreases, sample size increases, and with the true origin, you can judge the extent of this more accurately. Optimization charts can be very noisy, thanks to market events such as economic news. Some parameter values might be affected positively, causing large spikes, others negatively. But these are events that won't repeat in the future, and so simply add unhelpful noise to the chart, making it hard to spot the real patterns that do matter. That's why the neighborhood averaging feature is so powerful. Turn it on and watch the chart transform, often from a chaotic chart to clear, meaningful patterns, revealing the true structure beneath. These are the patterns that are much more likely to repeat in the future for as long as the dynamics of the asset remain intact. We can check out the Adjust for Sample Size feature. OMS can adjust chart values based on statistical significance. Parameter values with more trades get a boost, while those with fewer trades are dialed back. This helps you focus on robust settings and avoid unreliable ones. In our example, trade counts are broadly similar, so the adjustment is subtle. But in strategies with big differences in sample size, the effect will be much greater. Remember, these charts aren't just numbers. They're your window into how your strategy behaves. They reveal patterns, expose parameter relationships, and guide you towards robust settings. With OMS, you're not guessing, you're making confident, data-driven decisions. But here's the catch. Even the best optimization charts, whether in OMS or any other platform, hit a problem when you've optimized on more than 2 parameters. Let me show you what I mean. We optimized using 3 parameters. Now let's try to pick the best combination of parameter values using the surface chart. Whenever you select parameter values from a chart, you should always focus on 3 things. Performance, look for the highest values, but also statistical significance. Use the Adjust for Sample Size option we saw earlier to help with this. And finally, stability. Find high areas that are surrounded by other high areas. These tend to hold up much better in live trading. Avoid sharp peaks near steep drop-offs. If market dynamics shift even a little, this will send your results off a cliff. That's not robustness, it's fragility. So, with all that in mind, let's now try to select the most robust values for the 3 parameters we optimized, so that I can explain the issue more clearly. I'm going to turn on both the Adjust for Sample Size and Neighborhood Averaging options. First, we'll look at the MACD period fast in relation to the period slow. And here we can see a number of potential options, and it looks like this one here is the highest, but if we take a closer look, this is really close to this extremely steep drop-off, so this is probably best avoided. After this one, we're probably looking at this peak right here, which is in a much more stable region than the first one we looked at. This is probably the best point right here, which has a value of 40 for the fast periods and 130 for the slow. Next, let's look at the fast periods alongside the stop loss parameter. And here the choice is probably a little more simple, and I think this point here is probably the best option. So this has fast periods equal to 95 and the stop loss parameter equal to 60. So straight away you should start to see what the problem is here. When we looked at fast periods alongside the slow periods, the best result was 40 periods for the fast. But when we look at it alongside the stop loss, now 95 is the best option for the fast. So which of these do you use? But let's carry on and look at the slow periods alongside the stop loss. And again here, we're probably looking at this value right here, which is 130 for the slow periods and 40 for the stop loss parameter. So when we look at this now, at least we have some consistency for the slow periods, and both pieces of analysis for this came out at 130. But the fast periods are more than 100% different, and the stop loss show a 50% difference. These are huge. So you see the conflict. Which values should we use for out-of-sample validation? Which should we trust in live trading? Should we use fast periods of 40 or 95 or maybe somewhere in between? And this is the problem. Surface charts, regardless of which platform you're using them in, can only show 2 parameters at a time. When you're working in 3 dimensions or more, you get these conflicting signals. There's no chart that can reliably guide you through robust visual selection in a 3-parameter space. And forget 4 or 5 parameters, you have no chance. So what approach do most traders take in this situation? They fall back to the performance table and pick the top result. But we've already seen the flaw in that. These top performing values often get there by luck, boosted by news events that happen to align. They're spikes, not signals, and they rarely survive validation, let alone live trading. This is where OMS changes the game. When dealing with optimizations of multiple parameters, OMS dives into the full n-dimensional parameter space, not using charts, but using code. It applies advanced smoothing through n-dimensional neighborhood averaging and pinpoints the genuinely stable areas of that n-dimensional surface for you, displaying the results of this analysis in tabular form. In the next video, I'll show you exactly how it does that. Trust me, this is one you don't want to miss.